Time once again for the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast with you as always, Jeff Chadiha from the NFL Network, Sam McDowell from the Kansas City Star. My name is Soren Petro from Sports Radio 810 WHB as we talk some Chiefs football, the Chiefs snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. What did this loss tell us about the Kansas City Chiefs? The team is now 0-3 in one-score games this season. Why? Why are they having so many problems in the close games now? Are special teams a problem? Mahomes played well. Does Pick-Six change the game? Was that just a mistake by him or a great play by Lloyd? That was the final drive about Trevor Lawrence's brilliance, so the Chiefs' inability to get a stop on defense. Nobody's going to say elite today, are they? Where was Chris Jones? What was he thinking? The offense was a bright spot, and the run game finally looked effective. So what does that mean for the offense moving forward? Plus, with Rashee Rice coming back, how big a blow is this when you consider the schedule that the Chiefs still have left to go? We're talking about it right here, right now on the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast.
You are listening to the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Chiefs on planet Earth, breaking down the Chiefs like no one else can. Red, Gold, and Bold is hosted by Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro. Jeff Chadiha is a senior columnist and on-air personality for the NFL Network and NFL.com. Sam McDowell is a columnist for the Kansas City Star. Soren Petro is the afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. The Red, Gold, and Bold podcast is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are the hosts of the Best Chiefs podcast, Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis. How about it? Not the game that the Chiefs wanted, and not the game that I think most fans thought they were going to get when the Chiefs jumped out to a 14-0 lead. Jeff, what did this loss tell us about the Chiefs?
Time for a reality check. This is a good to very good team when they're playing at a high level. Not a great team. They might get there later in the year when all pieces are together and they've had more time to gel, but they're a good to very good team in the mix with a lot of very good to good teams around the NFL. I mean, I know people can look at the Jaguars and say what they will about them, but they're sitting at 4-1 right now. The Chiefs are at 2-3, and there are a lot of teams out there coming up that can beat the Chiefs. And so they have to be playing at a high level in all three phases. They can't make mistakes. They can't have the penalties. They don't have the margin of error they've had in the past. They can't have Patrick Mahomes save them from their flaws anymore.
Yeah, it's a weird game. Statistically, the Chiefs dominate, yet the Jacksonville Jaguars win it. You can make a case. Jeff, I heard you make this case. You can make a case that the Chiefs were lucky to be within one score when you consider that the Jaguars were a few inches away from getting another touchdown, if not for Nick Bolton knocking the ball out. But I think Chiefs fans would look at it and say, and I think the Chiefs players would look at it and say, boy, a couple plays here or there, we win this game by 2 scores. Sam, what did this game say to you?
Yeah, I mean, I apologize for my voice here. Just get the elephant in the room. It's even rougher to experience on this end than it is that end.
Yeah.
I think, look, I mean, I think the Chiefs should feel really, really frustrated with the result. But I think they should feel better about the prospects of their season than they should have any of the first 4 games. Like the Chiefs, to me, reached a ceiling offensively that we haven't seen them reach in 3 years on a per-play basis. They're at 7.6 yards in that game. They haven't reached that in 3 years. So I actually looked it up, and they had 476 yards. They allowed 319. When you narrow those parameters, anytime that they've gotten 375 and that they've allowed under 350, you know how many games they've lost with Patrick Mahomes in those parameters? Gaining 375, allowing under 350.
I believe it's 0.
Zero. They're 28-0 when that happens, and they gained 101 more yards than those parameters I set. Any sport, when you're 28-0 and you replicate that formula, you should feel like you had a pretty good day. If one game doesn't go your way, you shouldn't rip it all up and say, we can't do that again. You should be trying to do that for the next 12 weeks. I think the Chiefs are in a better spot with how they're playing now than I thought going into the game.
I think that's fair. I think they did a lot of things right, and I think there were some things, the officiating, there were bad calls. I mean, there were calls that certainly Jacksonville fans didn't like. There were calls that Chiefs fans didn't like. That's always a part of the game. You got to overcome it. Jacksonville did, and the Chiefs didn't. But there were some penalties that hurt. There were some dropped interceptions that hurt. Like this was one of those games that I think was like a play away. And I'm with you, Sam. I definitely think progress was made by the Chiefs in this game. Certainly on the offensive side, we saw Isaiah Pacheco run with an urgency and against a really good Jacksonville run defense. And so I think there is a lot to like. Jeff, do you think that did you have the same impression they played better in this game, even if they didn't get the results? Like the process was better, the outcome just wasn't what they needed.
Yeah, they played better on offense, but and Sam, it's a great stat Sam just quoted, but that also takes into account that they had some of the best special teams played in the league during that run when they were 28-0 with those parameters. And right now, that's not the case. And to me, this game should illustrate to you how much special teams can upset the apple cart when everything else is going in the right direction. And those, if you just get competent special teams play in this game, you're winning, probably by double digits if you're the Chiefs. But those plays were big. Those returns being negated, the blown kick at the end, kickoff at the end by Butker, giving Jacksonville the ball at the 40-yard line. That's where the margins were in this game. Like everything else kind of balanced out. They had the pick-six and the Chiefs had all the offense. But yeah, I think those moments on special teams, again, can indicate to you this team does not have the luxury of making those kind of mistakes anymore. And it used to be, okay, well, if we got a holding penalty from Jawan Taylor, you could overcome that. Or if you had a turnover here, you could overcome that. Now it's a situation where I don't know if they're rebounding from this stuff. And so I think that they are better. There certainly was improvement there. That's the best they've looked offensively in a long time. But it just shows you that. I said on the radio this morning that it used to be, when the Chiefs were really rolling offensively, let's just have an okay defense, they'll be fine. And then when the defense was great, they got by with okay offense. But now it's like, where is that magic formula for this team? And I think it includes all three phases now. Like they all have to be at a high level. And their stars got to be at a high level. It's no coincidence now that in their three losses, we're talking about their star players not getting the job done.
Sam, they also got started earlier. They had a plan. That was something that I think was, we've talked about that they've had issues. It's just like something that, if it's not one thing, it's another, right, Jeff? They get out to a good start and then, they can't do anything with it, right? They like that was like, they can't go beyond what it was that, got them to 14-0. Then they kind of freeze up. And I will give you said something this morning that, give a lot of credit to Jacksonville. They're a young team, and yet they found a way. They didn't fold after being down 14-0, right? That's part of the problem as well.
Yeah, I felt like this was the kind of game the Chiefs, Sam's struggling over here, the kind of game the Chiefs would have rolled away with. And it felt like they were going to do that, right? When it was 14-0 and they dropped the interception that both of them could have had or Triangle could have had. But it seemed to me that when it was 14-0 after that point, that the Jaguars hit a different level. And it shocked me to see Trevor Lawrence doing that because he started running more. He started pushing the envelope with his play. And they gained a lot of confidence. And when they went down and scored their first touchdown, I was like, they think they're in the game now. And this was the kind of game, years ago that you would have felt the Chiefs would have just kept coming and coming and coming. And the Jaguars would have at some point panicked and done something stupid. And I give Liam Cohen credit for that. Devin Lloyd made the big play. But it's always easy to diminish the teams that haven't done anything. And I was saying on the radio, the Colts and the Jaguars this year are the Chargers and Broncos of last year. Like nobody wants to believe in them until they're actually in the playoffs and have a winning record. But these teams are 4-1 for a reason because they're playing good football.
Yeah, Alan said Jacksonville definitely deserves credit. I agree. I mean, I think Liam Cohen looks like he's got his crap together. He made Trevor Lawrence look pretty good. He had him using his legs. One-score games were owned by the Chiefs, Sam, last year. They're now 0-3 in those games. Do you see any, connecting reason as to why they had all the formula last year and they don't this year?
Well, I mean, I really think it proves us right last year that it was fluky to go 12-0 in one-score games. Like that wasn't supposed to happen. So to me, it reveals more about last year than it does this year. But it was weird, like listening to the pressers in the locker room. Like these guys are talking about the little things, the details, the penalties, the end of game execution. And at some point, it like dawns on you that, wait a minute, this is what the Chiefs have been doing to teams for the last 6 years. Now they're on the other end of it. That stat I mentioned about being 28-0 in those parameters, if you reverse them and the Chiefs gain under 350 and the opponent gains at least 375, they have a winning record. They're 6-5. Like that's what makes dynasties happen, is when you win games you shouldn't and you win all the games you should. The Jaguars just won a game they shouldn't, which to me is why Jeff's right. I'm more impressed with Jacksonville winning a game they shouldn't win than going out and beating a team and winning the whole game.
Yeah. Fatigue, Jeff, long seasons, playing deep into the postseason. Is this a team that's mentally worn out? Is it a roster construction thing, a lack of big game character? I mean, we're going to talk about Chris Jones and his bizarre play at the end. I mean, he's a guy that's been around for those wins. So, but what do you put your finger on as to why they're, clearly just happenstance, but I do believe there's something to good teams find a way to win close games.
Oh, I agree with that too. I mean, and Sam's right. This game, the way it ended, was a lot like the Raiders game last year when Aiden O'Connell fumbled, right? Except the situation where Trevor Lawrence fell down, found a way to get back up, fell down again, got back up, and made the play to win the game. And I always try to tell people, like, the NFL is a lot more fluid than people think. People think it's like really hardcore. Here are the teams that are great. Here are the ones who are not. And there's just this big divide. And really there's a lot of movement behind the scenes you don't see. We obviously don't watch Jacksonville as much as we watch the Chiefs. Most people don't watch Jacksonville as much as they. But if you can see the elements of something that's being built there, where the defense is opportunistic, the quarterback's getting better, they got a good run game. All that stuff makes you play better football. And so my feeling is like you've got teams around the league that have been building and building and building, and nobody's been paying attention to them. But now they're starting to find their way. And so that's what I'm saying, that the Chiefs aren't falling back to the pack. I think the pack is catching up to where they're at. And so it makes it harder to win these kind of games when other teams feel like they can win them too.
Age of players, Tommy, of course, says Mahomes look tired. No, he doesn't. But it takes 53 guys on the roster, and it takes 22 starters, so on and so forth. How about the age? People talk about Chris Jones, Travis Kelce. Is that the difference, Sam? That a couple of key spots, they're just older, and that's the difference. And as Jeff put, the rest of the league catching up to him.
Well, I mean, yeah, it plays a part, and I mean, they haven't got enough from Chris Jones, and I know that's on our list of stuff to talk about, but when you look at like the one-score game thing, I mean, I think teams win in the margins. This team has won in the details with those margins. Even look at that pick-six, which I know we're getting to as well, but this part I think is applicable to the one-score games. They had plenty of chances to bring that guy down on the return. It's going to be a negative play regardless, but that was a 12.7 point play in terms of expected points added, just that one play, which is why you lose a game, that you dominate the stats that I mentioned. It's why, one of the expected results has the Chiefs winning this game by like 12 points. That's the play that changes the game. It's already going to be a negative play, but you had plenty of chances to make that a 70-yard drive facing the Jaguars and not 6 or 7 points going the other way. Those are the details that I think have won the Chiefs games for 5 years. It's one of the, it's a Leo Chenal blocked field goal that happens. It's a Justin Reed blocked extra point. They win on those margins. And that play to me really stood out as not winning in the margins.
Is it something they can fix in season?
I think so. I mean, I like I said, I thought the Chiefs were a lot better. I came out, I know a lot of people came out of this game panicked. I understand the 2-3 record. I came out on the other end thinking, wow, I didn't know this team had that ceiling. The defense has played well 3 games. They played pretty poor on the bookends of those 3 games, but this offense is not an offense we've seen in 3 years, really since Tyreek Hill left. And so I think that this team has I actually think this team has a higher ceiling than last year's team. How many times have the 3 of us talked about that last year's team was not a real 15-2 team? I think this year's team is better than last year's group.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. You mentioned a little bit about the special teams. We'll dive in a little deeper on that after you hear from our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, proudly serving the greater Kansas City area. Nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor. Locally owned and making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Let Gann educate you about the most cost-effective way to solve your parking lot problems. With free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty, Gann Asphalt keeps your parking lot safer and helps you and your business avoid unnecessary delays and costly expenses. Find Gann online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Italian Delight was the first restaurant to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City almost 50 years ago. They sell whole pies or pizza by the slice, or enjoy their classic strombolis, calzones, and sausage rolls. Sandwich lovers, check out their lineup of hot and cold subs, the combo, the meatball, or the Philly cheesesteak, just to name a few. And don't forget the pasta. Their famous lasagna and classic chicken Alfredo always hit the spot. And if you're hungry for lunch, check out their daily lunch specials, starting at under $10. Italian Delight can even cater your next work function or party. Dine in, carry out, or delivery, it's Italian Delight. Located just 3 minutes east of Kansas Speedway at 8145 State Ave in KCK. Check out the menu and order online at ItalianDelightKS.com. Kansas City's own Italian Delight. All right, let's get into the special teams, because one of the other things, there's the Butker missing on the kickoff, but there's also the fact that they are a penalty fest on all returns, it seems like. Jeff, is this a Dave Toe problem?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the look on his face as that night got deeper and deeper, we got deeper and deeper into it. It was just like, the consternation was just palpable. Like, he was like, what is going on here? This is not what I'm used to seeing. This is not what I've coached. And maybe there were some shaky calls there as far as holding, but those are huge. You could see, I think the last time the Chiefs came out, their body language from Mahomes, a couple other guys, you could just tell it was like, okay, we're going back again. Like, this is what we're doing. And I know it's like this team is so much about the offense, and then the defense with Spags, and then I think we've expected so much every year from the special teams that it's just become normal to say, okay, it's okay. But again, like, if you're playing bad special teams, you're costing your team opportunities to win games. And that was the perfect example of it last night. I mean, I don't know if these penalties are going to be a constant throughout the year, but I know Harrison Butker's got a problem. And this is the every game we've been talking about him, different reason now, but it's still a problem when your kicker, who's the highest paid kicker in the league, is doing it. He's not being paid to do this stuff. He cost them a game with that last kickoff.
Sam, you agree? I mean,
I guess the only pushback I'd give, and this isn't to Jeff, it's like I've seen people call Harrison Butker's performance unacceptable. They're going to accept it. Like, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But to really articulate the point that Jeff's making, the Chiefs' last scoring drive, which could have been the game-winning drive, was 86 yards. You know how they got the ball? A kickoff. The Jaguars' last scoring drive was 60 yards, 26 fewer yards. You know how they got the ball? A kickoff. Like, that's why this isn't just a Harrison Butker problem, Soren, which is why I'm glad you brought up the fact that the penalties were just as big of an issue on special teams as Harrison Butker's kick. Butker's kick was inexcusable, but the combination is a 26-yard difference on a scoring drive, and it's massive. It shows up in the game.
Yeah, it was. And look, I'm going to tell you that the Cochran holds, I think, were soft, right? But you've kind of earned that reputation. Like, they get penalties on their kick returns all the time. And when you do that, you're just asking for people to zero in and watch closer, right? Like, you're going to be under the microscope when you go out there, because refs watch tape. They know who they're looking at. Oh, what do I got here? Oh, I got Jawan Taylor. You know, he leads the league in penalties. I got this guy. You know, they scout the game that they're about to ref, and when what they see is penalty after penalty, they're looking for it. You know, it's they've earned that reputation that they're not going to get the benefit of the doubt calls because they've had so many, penalties on it. And so, and they're coming at just killers. I think it does speak, Jeff, a little bit to what Sam said, though, that, is it just an avalanche of wrong time, wrong thing, wrong time? If the penalty, if Butker makes that kickoff at the beginning of the game, they survive it, right? They have time to do everything else. When you do it at the very end, it's a killer. When you're trying to come back and it's the last possession and Cochran gets a penalty, it calls back a good return that sets up the short field for you. It's a killer. I mean, how much of it is just a little bit of the timing of the problems on special teams?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it, but that's also football and sports in general, right? You got to make the plays when they matter the most. And so, yeah, beginning of the game, the kickoff doesn't matter, but we need that kickoff at the end of the game. We want to make sure they have a longer field to travel. The one thing I was thinking about with those penalties is just like the way that kickoff is set up now. And I often wonder, like, one, is it easier for refs to see some of this stuff that's happening and want to call it more? And two, if the timing's not right, are you put in a position when you're blocking somebody to hold longer to try to make sure a block can lead to a bigger return? Is that what's happening? Because the angles are so funny and returners are weaving through. It's maybe it's something that can be coached out of it. I imagine Dave Tobe, who's obviously got a great reputation as a special teams coach, will figure that part out. But again, it goes back to the point of they're not in a position where they can overcome this stuff. You talk about the yards they put up and the yards per play and the big plays and all that stuff. That stuff was all sabotaged by all these penalties.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that shows up to me on the Harrison Butker kickoff is that this is still their kickoff strategy, to kick it high.
Yeah.
To kick it high and try and place it just right. Look at what a team like, our old friend, the Eric Eager and the Panthers are doing this year, and the Rams are doing this year. They're kicking these low line drive kicks, and the object is to get the ball to hit the ground.
Yeah.
Because when the ball hits the ground, the return is going to be shorter. It's going to occupy some time. You're going to have a head start on the returner. Instead, the Chiefs are trying to just pin it in the perfect spot, but kick it high. The guy still has time to get to it. I don't really understand the advantage of pinning him to the corner if he's got all that time to get to it. You've got enough time for the other return guy to cross over. You still have the blockers in place. I mean, but like the risk reward isn't there. I think this is a strategical issue as well with the kickoffs they're even attempting.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. And Dave Tobe did say last week, it's all still a work in progress. Everybody's still trying to figure it out. So maybe we'll see them go.
It looks like it. Yeah, it looks like a work in progress. Yeah.
Maybe we'll see them make an adjustment in the way they go about kicking. Patrick Mahomes throws the pick-6, Jeff. Was this more about Mahomes just making a bad read, or was this just a great play and tip your cap to the Jags?
Oh, I think it was Devin Lloyd. I mean, Mahomes talked about the play and said they'd never shown that look, and he was anticipating Juju Smith-Schuster breaking wide open. And, I can't remember. When was the last time he threw a pick-6? Has he ever had a pick-6? I was trying to think about that when it happened.
Well, in the Super Bowl, he had one, right?
Yeah, okay, that's what it was. Okay, that's what it was. Okay, and regular season game, then I'm thinking. Yeah, it's the only one I can remember right now. But that wasn't a force. That was a force play in the Super Bowl. Rolling right, throwing back across his body. This was Devin Lloyd sniffing it out, and maybe it was a good call too by their DC. But I mean, it happened so fast. I think I was almost like, That's an interception? Because it felt like such a bang play. And we're so used to seeing that play turn into a touchdown immediately that when it took me like 10 yards of him running where I was like, wow, okay, this guy might score on this. And I thought Tyquan Thornton made a great effort to get back into it and try to make the tackle at the end. But I thought that obviously it was a huge momentum swing and a play that kind of really encapsulates what the Jaguars are about this year on defense. Like, they're not phenomenal, but they know how to take the ball away when it matters. And that's credit to Devin Lloyd on that one.
Yeah. It was a great play by Lloyd and a great return. And I like what you said about Tyquan Thornton as well. He went for the ball. Devin Lloyd even had the ball secured well, running back style, the 3 points of pressure. He had it pinned in there. Sam, what do you attribute this to? I mean, we heard the linebackers popped, Patrick Mahomes said, something they hadn't done. So they gave him a new look and they got him.
Yeah, I mean, he actually even got more specific and said that he saw the Bengals run that play against that look and score a touchdown on a slant to Jamar Chase. So he actually alerted and audible to that specific play because he thought that was going to be what was open, which I think everything Jeff said right. But just to add to it, I think it also speaks to the fact that when the Chiefs play football games, teams save looks. They play against unscouted looks a lot against teams, and it's difficult to prepare for what he saw. Watching film cost him that interception. This isn't a lack of homework. It's too much homework cost him that interception.
It's too prepared is what you're telling me.
He is. And I mean, he's acknowledged that in the past, that he's cut stuff off before because he's seen this look on film. And I think he's done less of that, but it's a look the Jaguars have never shown.
Can we agree? The one thing I will absolutely say, he says, well, he's got to do a better job of making the tackle or at least slowing him up. Can I say no?
Well, Kareem Hunt, I think, is the guy who I think could have slowed him up on that play, right?
That is a 10 on 11 play. Patrick Mahomes is too valuable. It is not. I hope somebody goes to him and says, you don't. And I hope there's time, if I were coaching that team and we were watching the all offense together and you're like, okay, your quarterback said he's the guy that's got to get this guy down. I mean, I hope some heads are coming out of their asses right now. And you guys recognize you 10 have to go get it done. If anybody thinks 15's earning his paycheck around here because he's making tackles on the handful of interceptions he throws, you need to find a new place to play. Like that, 10 other guys got to go at him like banshees to make sure that 15 doesn't have to get anywhere near it. It ain't the playoffs, and the answer isn't Patrick Mahomes making better tackles. That's one thing that, like, I appreciate him saying that at the podium, but I hope that Andy Reid and Matt Nagy will make the point that one of you 10 other guys better get over there and tackle this guy. I recognize 15 made the mistake. You got to solve it. Yeah. Like that's terrifying, to hear if I'm Andy Reid there. How about the final drive? Trevor Lawrence, more about Trevor Lawrence making plays. He's coming of age, Jeff, or no, this defense was exposed. It has problems and it was exposed.
It's a little bit of both, but I think that you can definitely we'll start with Shamari Connor. I mean, okay, that he was exposed for sure. But I give Lawrence a ton of credit because he had to make some big throws. He made some mistakes in there to delay a game. That was I didn't understand what he was thinking in that situation. But he had to make 2 or 3 big plays in there, and big throws, and obviously the run, and he did it. And I've been one of the biggest critics of Trevor Lawrence. I've never seen him as being someone who's going to get to that elite level in this league, and that was career-defining game for him. And Jake Gutierrez on your station made a good point. That was the whole Trevor Lawrence experience we saw there. It was the good and the bad and the crazy. But when he is running using his legs and you see his arm, that throw to Brian Thomas, which had to make you feel good for your fantasy team. I know you were quietly enjoying that one, even though you hated the result for the Chiefs, was beautiful. And then to come back to him with the Shamari Connor play, and then to have the presence of mind to fall in that situation twice and then get up and score a touchdown. It felt like it was like a 10-minute play. And I almost started laughing halfway through it because I was like, they're not going to lose a game in this fashion. But it shows the maturity and the lack of panic and the ability to make plays in the clutch. So I thought it was really about Trevor Lawrence.
More about Lawrence, more about the defense, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, I can't get over the final play, and the DPI play. I mean, and specifically just the way that the Chiefs allowed it. I mean, that's the play. That it's 3rd and 13. You've got, a shortened field because they're up against the goal line, and you've got Shamari Connor playing in the slot one-on-one against Brian Thomas. And if you go back and watch the play or the snap, Trevor Lawrence glances to his left and sees that matchup, and he never thinks about going anywhere else, because why would he? I mean, Shamari Connor has not been a good cover guy in the slot, and he tries to jam 4 yards downfield past the line of scrimmage, and he's just too late. It doesn't work, and he just gets toasted. Trent McDuffie playing 4 snaps in the slot really stands out to me. I'm confused why that was the matchup that the Chiefs were comfortable with.
Yeah, it was. I think this was a day that we heard Steve Spagnuolo after the first game kind of basically say, hey, tip your cap to them. We thought that they were going to run. They threw it. He's not above, saying, hey, they had a good game plan. I think we'll hear a little bit of that in this situation. I think that's part of what happened here in this game, is that you're just going to have to say, hey, you know what? Nice job. We tip our cap to them. They went out and made the plays it takes to get it done, and we just got to come back and be better. So yeah, I think there were some game plan things. I like what you said about the being in the slot as well. All right, the elephant in the room is one Chris Jones. We will talk about that after you hear from our friends at Frontier Justice.
This episode of Red, Gold, and Bold is brought to you by Frontier Justice, where freedom is a lifestyle grounded in safety, responsibility, and respect. With locations in Lee Summit, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas, and Jenks, Oklahoma, Frontier Justice offers firearms retail, a premier indoor shooting range, and training, all under one roof. Whether you're new to shooting or a seasoned pro, you'll find expert staff, top-tier gear, and a strong sense of community. Faith, family, freedom. That's what Frontier Justice stands for. Visit frontier-justice.com to learn more.
Gann Asphalt and Concrete, proudly serving the greater Kansas City area. Nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor. Locally owned and making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Let Gann educate you about the most cost-effective way to solve your parking lot problems. With free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty, Gann Asphalt keeps your parking lot safer and helps you and your business avoid unnecessary delays and costly expenses. Find Gann online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. All right. Where was Chris Jones? Let's dive into it. Jeff, what's your thoughts on Chris Jones' play overall in the game, and certainly the last play where he's had the best seat in the house to take a look at what all was going on? Spot on analysis after the game, by the way. Great view to deliver it.
Wrong pronouns, though, right?
Yeah, a lot of we and a lot of us.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you were participating in that one, but okay.
I don't know. I mean, he had some moments, but this was the fear of that contract being handed to him a couple years ago when they were pursuing that three-peat, or last year pursuing the three-peat. And we all knew what Chris Jones was. We all knew, hey, if you get great Chris Jones, this is worth the money. But if you get the wrong Chris Jones, it's going to be super frustrating. And so far this season, he's had a couple moments where you're like, I don't know if this guy is really dialed into the way he needs to be, because they need him to be 100% all-pro, best defensive tackle in the game, Chris Jones. And I don't think we're going to see that again based on what I saw in that last play. I mean, I don't care how you describe it, and I've heard people try to rationalize it. I'm watching a guy who is literally 3 yards away from a quarterback who's on the ground in the biggest moment of a game, just standing there watching him like he's looking at a giraffe in the zoo. It was just like there was no. It's still. I've never seen it happen on a football field in a situation like that where a guy is not. I would think Trevor Lawrence being on the ground would compel you to move forward and make sure, hey, we got this guy down. It's done. And then even when he's up moving, it was like, to try to say he couldn't make the play or there was no way he could get there, whatever. It still baffles me. Like every time I've seen it a million times now, and it still makes no sense. The heat he's getting is well justified because you can't be the highest paid, one of the highest paid defenders in the game and not deliver in that moment. Not try. and that, not even deliver, not try in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was the thing, Sam. Like there was, I've heard people try to say, well, he's staying in his rush lane or he couldn't see that he was down on the ground. I mean, I literally I got nothing on this. I'm like, I don't know how you can look at that and don't come away going, what on God's earth? What the hell is going on here?
I think there should be some embarrassment associated with that clip. And I think that embarrassment should happen when they rewatch the film of it because, I mean, like Jeff said, I've heard some rationalization of it. There's no excuse for that effort. Even if he's pushing forward in his own rushing lane, he's not rushing. Like, he's not doing anything on the play. And somebody should watch George Karlaftis on that play because he doesn't get there. He's going balls to the wall to try and get there from around the opposite edge, by the way, of Chris Jones. He's got a longer journey to get there, and he's at least trying to make the effort. I mean, that's the moment. That's the game. Like, if you can't get it in that moment, and to me, it's symbolic of the season that he's having. I mean, his pressure rate's at 9.0% right now. It's never been below 11.8. Like, they're not getting the production from Chris Jones. And we didn't talk about this in the final drive. You know what kills final game-winning drives? Sacks, pressures. Yeah. They didn't have any.
No. And I get it. And Allen said, hey, he pressured him in the last play. He was gassed on that one. He had nothing left. Did he collapse immediately after that game? I mean, listen, I get it that he's tired.
She's had 3 timeouts with 25 seconds left in the game. Like, they weren't going to use 3 offensive timeouts, right? If that was the case,
call a timeout.
Then the coaches missed an opportunity there.
For sure. But I mean, it's the fact that just no effort was made. I understand if he's not full speed, and I had it said to me. Matt Derrick said to me today, he's like, well, if you can't make the play. I'm like, really? Like, so like now ground balls are short. You don't run to first, you into the dugout. Like, is that no? Sorry. You at least move in that direction in case something changes.
In case something changes, like him falling down twice. Like, that's proof that you don't know what's going to happen on a play. You don't give up on plays in the NFL.
Yeah, you don't, because runners will cut back, balls get dropped. I mean, literally people will drop the ball going into the end zone. That's why you go ahead and trail some jackass, even though he's 10, 15 yards in front of you, because dumbasses are dropping the ball at the 1 now. You don't have to run top speed, but you give it at least 85, 90% to be down there in case some fool drops the ball. Chris Jones has got to at least be moving in that direction. That's what's so stunning about it, is he's not even heading that way. I get him, he looks at it and says, I can't cut it. I don't have the angle. Yeah. But to not even like move, just like there was like that one moment where he kind of, no. I was like, no. I'm not getting there. I'm not going to bother. And it's like, I think, Sam, you brought up his pressure rate. PFF has him graded in the 70s of interior defensive linemen. It's everywhere you look. And that's what it's like. If he had 3 sacks in this game and then he loafs, you're like, hey, bad play, but they're not here unless he's doing what he's doing. And he's not. I think Jeff is right. He's not the player he once was. And to be at a high level and to come close to being worth the salary he's got to be a max effort guy all the time. The motor can't stop. I remember a couple of years ago, and he's like, don't worry, the numbers will be there at the end. And then they played him in a game that didn't matter so he could get his 10th sack and get his $1 million bonus, which I still think was like, I almost think that was embarrassing. I almost think the Chiefs should have said, we'll give you the $1 million. Just like, okay, we're not putting you out there. Like, if that's that important, we'll give it to you. Close enough. We don't want you hurt. Here it is. But he is an odd, like, let's address the other elephant in the room, which is he's an odd guy, right? Like, I know there are players that are like, I ain't playing. I don't want to play with that guy, right? They're not here anymore. The Chiefs are like, well, you're not sticking around, but they're he is kind of a weird dude. Listen, we see him when he comes out to the podium. We joke about it in that room. Like, well, what are we getting? Are we getting happy-go-lucky Chris Jones, or are we getting, I just rolled out of bed, grumpy 4-year-old Chris Jones? Like, you don't ever know what it is. And he plays like that on the field. Like, sometimes, oh my God, this guy's unstoppable. And other times, like, anybody can block this guy. I mean, that's a problem when he's your highest paid guy on defense.
Well, and it's a problem as guys that as they get older tend to become more problematic because they start turning it off more and more. They never turn it up. Calais Campbell's kept a job in this league for a long time because he's a guy who's going to play hard. And he's 37, 38 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain guys who are going to give it to you all the time. And Chris has had this, we know he's had this reputation for a long time. I've run into coaches and other teams that have brought it up when they talk about their defensive tackles, it being elite level players and being compared to him. And so that's the concern is like, okay, if you're not doing it here, when are you going to do it? And if you're going to go freelancing, against the Chargers, Justin Herbert, like, how are you going to rein that in when it matters most? I was like still perplexed that they were putting him out there at the end for a couple times moments in that game where it's just like, are we still doing this?
Well, and maybe that's the bigger picture because the whole D-line grades like crap. And I'm not saying that Pro Football Focus is the end all be all, but it's at least a starting point to discuss, where things are. We all get the metrics and the grades. I mean, here's their defensive line grades. George Karlaftis is 24th out of 109 edge rushers. Charles Omenihu is 99th of 109. Ashton Gelati is 103rd of 109. Interior guys, Chris Jones, 76th of 119 defensive linemen. Jerry Tillery, 110. Derek Noddy, 119 of 119. By the way, Mike Pinnell grades in the 70s.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I agree with you, sir. I mean, the grades aren't nothing, but that's why I prefer the statistics. Like the 9% pressure rate, you can't operate with Chris Jones making $30-something million and having a 9.0% pressure rate. The only guy I would hesitate to throw into that mix is George Karlaftis. His pressure rate's been terrific this year.
And his grade is higher, much higher.
If Chris Jones was Chris Jones, George Karlaftis would be on his way to a double-digit sack season. But this is proof that everything operates around Chris Jones being effective. And when he's not, the entire unit fails.
Yeah. No, I think that's a giant problem for them for sure. All right, to the offense, run game finally clicking a little bit. I mean, it looked like it might be effective here. Add that into Rashee Rice over the horizon. Where's your optimism about this offense? As Sam said earlier, he saw some more ceiling than what even he thought it had beforehand. Where's your optimism on the offense and where it's going for the rest of the year, Jeff?
Oh, I'm in the same boat. I mean, you look at what they're able to do, the emergence of Tyquan Thornton. I think Tyquan Thornton bumping Hollywood Brown down a notch on the depth chart, Juju down a notch on the depth chart is a real positive for this team. He's continued to make plays, so I don't see what that would change once Rashee Rice is back in the mix. Now, we don't know what Rashee Rice is going to be because we haven't seen him play since he hurt his knee over a year ago, whatever it's been. So if he's the guy that we remember outside of training camp, this offense should be electric in the passing game because I really like what they've done with Kelsey. I think Kelsey has found his niche within this offense where he gets a little bit here, a little bit there, but they're not constantly looking for him and relying on him. And so he looks a lot more effective. And then, if the run game can do what it did last night with Pacheco, and, he wasn't great, but he was good enough. Kareem Hunt was good enough. If they can keep that going, there's no reason to think this offense shouldn't be good. This offense should be a top 5 offense with what I saw that night. Now, the question is, can they keep that going?
13 carries for 109 yards out of their 2 running backs, Sam. I mean, that's against the defense that was number 3 in the NFL against the run. I mean, that is a sign of progress.
Yeah, I mean, I am dubious those numbers stick around for a while, but it's proof of the effect when they do happen. Like, I've been talking all year long about the fact that this passing game's main problem is a lack of running game. The passing game looked great on a night where the running game looked great for the first time all year. I don't think that's a coincidence. I mean, I also think it's telling how many guys like that are starting to find specific roles. Jeff mentioned Thornton. They played him out wide again. I told you guys last week that they stopped playing him out wide, only in the slot. They played him out wide again. He was effective out there. But then Hollywood Brown, I thought, had one of his best games as a Chief. I mean, he had a really key, difficult catch on the 3rd down play near the goal line. Another one that sets up the final touchdown. Like Jeff said, something that I also was going to mention is that all this stuff slides Travis Kelce into a better role for him on this team, which is a supporting role, not a feature guy. So I did not think that the offense would get back to being top 5 good before Rashee Rice got back. But like this offense to me is back before Rashee Rice is back. And it's going to be interesting to see how he fits in, because I wouldn't want to take Tyquan Thornton off the field right now.
By the way, Kansas City right now is the 8th ranked offense overall by yardage, old school counting numbers. They are 9th in passing. So they're and amazingly 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 in rushing. We know Patrick Mahomes has contributed heavily to that. That's not exactly Eric Dickerson back there getting it done. But if they are going to be more effective in the run, then I agree. I think the run game is what's going to help open up the passing game. You are right. You did call it on Tyquan Thornton, Sam, and he was out there and he had big catches. They spread the ball around, and it allowed Travis Kelce to be kind of the check down guy, which I think is a great spot. When you're the check down guy, you've been running around there for a while. It's not about using elite speed to get to a spot quickly. It's about finding the spot that's left open as things start to fall apart. And I think that's a great spot for him still. And he even made a move. He continues to look more agile and athletic this year than he did last year. So I think that bodes well for where this passing offense is going to go. Isaiah Pacheco seemingly should have been running with this. Was I the only one that saw him even do like a little hesitation move and then bounce to a hole? Like he had one where it looked like it was called for the 2. When I was little, what they call it, but in between Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, and he got there and it was occupied and he bounced it to the left. I've never seen that before. He just blasted into the back of Trey Smith. And so I don't know if there's been, some like, hey, slow down a little bit. Like it's there, make it happen. And I think that's a positive sign for this team and what they can do offensively. All right. So now the loss. We all agree that this team shows signs of being able to be much better, but they did lose. They have the Detroit Lions coming next. They have the Buffalo Bills looming a couple of weeks after that, before some people think the schedule gets much easier, right? I don't know that I say much easier. I think that there's still some tough games out there, but yes, they're capable of doing more, but they've now got 3 losses in an era where you can have 6 and make the playoffs. Jeff, they've cut the margin of error way down by losing a winnable game.
Oh yeah, that's the downside of what happened. I mean, you can say they're finding their way and getting their offense back together, but now you're in a hole that looks pretty daunting, because you got the Lions, the Commanders, the Bills, right, the Broncos, and the Colts, which was supposed to be an easy game. Now that's not going to be an easy game, and the Raiders, I think, in their a couple weeks down the road from today. And so they're 2-3 now. I mean, I don't think they're going to end up 3-8 after that stretch, but I definitely think 5-6 is realistic, and 4-7 is definitely on the table, because those are all good teams that are all playing well, and they can't afford any slip up. And so the thing that we have not seen outside of the Ravens game, which obviously the Ravens had some injuries to deal with, is them playing a clean game in an impressive fashion. That has yet to happen. And so you're going to have to play clean and impressive to beat a lot of those teams. Otherwise, even if you're 3-3, you're still looking at 5-6 after 11 games, which is going to be hard.
Yeah. 4-4 going to Buffalo is not a good spot. Going to Buffalo and to Denver back to back. The part about what's coming up with these games, Sam, is Lions, Raiders, Commanders is at home. You'll be starting to burn if it's like, well, the Lions are a good team. We lost to the Lions. I know. Okay, fine. We're a couple games under 500, but what? You're going to get healthy where? You're starting to burn off your home games, which is where you're supposed to get healthy. This is a critical point, because they play 3 consecutive home games, Lions, Raiders, Commanders, before going to Buffalo and to Denver, right? Which is, so they can't be squandering home games. Like, this loss made the Lions game, it's tough to say, gotta have right now. We talked about that, I know, the other weeks, but it'll start to look, it really does look like you kind of got to have it if you're planning on losing up in Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say quite that strong. I mean, I will point out that, like, I think that you should feel better about the way the Chiefs are going to play the rest of the season. But yeah, I mean, they're 2-3. You should feel more worried about their playoff chances than you did going into the game, because the record's 2-3. I think the markets still have them at 70% implied odds to make the playoffs. I still very much think the division's in play. I see a really flawed Chargers team right now, given their injuries on the offensive line, which I mentioned last week, that Herbert's getting pressured like crazy. I think the Broncos are a flawed team. Bo Nix is not exactly playing great football. I think the Bills are a flawed team too. I mean, I still think the Bills have the best path to the number 1 seed because of their schedule, but I don't. My point in saying all this, because all these teams are on the Chiefs' schedule, I really only think the Chiefs will be underdogs once the rest of the season. It might be close in Denver, but I really think that, they'll be underdogs because they get the Colts at home. I agree with Jeff, by the way, on the Colts. People haven't caught up to them just because of their reputation recently. They're a good football team. And if that was on the road, that might be close. I think the Chiefs would be favored, but close. But I think that trip to Buffalo is the only one left right now that I look at and say the Chiefs are an underdog in that game. And I mean literal underdog. I don't mean what we think is going to win. I just mean I think it's the only game left on their schedule that I think will be an underdog. The opposite side of this, and sorry to drone on here, but the opposite side of this is I don't know how many games they're 5-point favorites either. They're going to play a lot of games like they just played against the Jaguars, where they're in that you should win this game, but you better execute the little things. And so while I mentioned that the overall formula needs to be repeated as far as how effective you are offensively in a per play basis defensively, you still got to execute the little things to win every one of these games in their schedule, because there is never somebody should go through that schedule and find me the easiest 2-week stretch on that schedule. There's not an easy two-week stretch on that schedule.
There's not an easy one, but if you said what is the easiest, what would you pick? Would you pick Texans Chargers later on, or would you pick Raiders Commanders in this 3-game stretch where you're home?
Probably at Cowboys, at home against Texans, I think would be the easiest. But none of those 2-game stretches that we said, are we going to say what the Chiefs' odds of going 2-0 are 60%? Maybe when you combine the two, you parlay the two together. I mean, it's not there's no gimmies on the schedule left.
Yeah, for sure. The Chiefs open as a 1.5-point favorite over the Lions. Favored over the Lions. I moved to 2.5 today during the day. I haven't looked at it tonight, but we'll talk about that game and break that down with our Friday edition of the Red, Gold, and Bold. That one streams live on Fridays at 10 a.m. Listen, you can support the Red, Gold, and Bold by supporting our great sponsors like Gann Asphalt and Concrete, proudly serving the greater Kansas City area, nationally recognized full-service pavement maintenance contractor. Get your seal coating done now. The weather finally turned cool. There's only so many more days they can get it done. Book right now. Go to GannAsphalt.com. That's GannAsphalt.com. Thanks to our friends at Frontier Justice, Lee Summit, KCK, Jenks, Oklahoma. 3 locations serving you. Premier indoor shooting range. They offer firearm retail, also training as well, all under one roof. Whether you're new to shooting or a seasoned pro, you'll find expert staff, top-tier gear, and a strong sense of community. At Frontier Justice, find them online at frontier-justice.com. And our friends at Italian Delight. They brought New York-style pizza to Kansas City. The first ones to do it almost 50 years ago. Strombolis, calzones, subs, lasagnas. They got it all. Daily lunch special starting at under $10. They're just a few minutes east of Kansas Speedway at 8145 State Ave. Order online at ItalianDelightKS.com. For Jeff Chadiha from the NFL Network, Sam McDowell from the Kansas City Star, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast.